Alright guys, so you have got some really cool journals that you can fill up with a bunch of different types of drawings and doodles, even small paintings if you want. But I'm here to help you figure out some stuff to put in there. So just a quick little figure drawing lesson. I know a lot of people love to learn to draw people. We look at them a lot. So it's exciting to kind of know how to create a face particularly. So to jump in, there is a lot of detail there, but we can fundamentally kind of make the human head an oval. And you've probably seen this a million times, just using this cross shape to help create our face. Your face is just about in the center of your head, so this is a lot of times why we do this, because you've got kind of our center space right here. And that line is a really good spot to kind of start eyes. I usually like to sketch out just that general shape really quick to help me get them, the same size, the same space, and I can kind of go ahead and see if it feels right there. A lot of times you'll hear people talk about drawing the other eye and how a lot of times people will cover it with hair or, a shadow or some excuse to not just have to get another matching eye. But this is a great way to get yourself started without having to deal with that problem later. And then eyebrows are going to go about here. Nose about there, mouth around here. And then we can start to shape out our chin. This is going to be a little bit different for every character you're working on. Every person is a little bit different. That's the biggest thing when you're learning to draw people. So there's no one way to draw a face because every face is very different. Everyone has a different nose, everyone has a different mouth, eyes, etc. So just think about who exactly you're trying to draw or what you're trying to create and work off that. So I'm going to go with kind of a pointier chin. And then to help with ear placement and size. Your ears are about the size from your eyebrow to the bottom of your nose. That ranges, again, each person. Every rule I say is going to have exceptions. Do not bog yourself down in those details. I've got kind of a 3/4 angle here, so I'm just going to see a touch of that ear poking out. I'm going to have my person kind of looking off to the side here. It's a little less combative than having them look you directly in the eye. It's also a little more forgiving because you're at a different angle here. So the eyes are going to be slightly different sizes, and that actually is just fine. That's what you want when the head's turned a little bit. I also prefer this angle for drawing noses because you get a little bit more strong of a bridge across there. I can erase some of my guidelines here now that I'm getting into it. And again, noses are a huge difference from person to person. Some people's angle down more, some angle up. Some are bigger, some are smaller, rounder, pointier, all of these things. We'll just give this person a bit of a rounder nose, a little wider, adding a little nostril there and a little more definition to that nostril. The big thing in drawing is deciding what to leave and what to take away. You don't need every teeny little detail unless you're doing something super hyper realistic, but that's not what we're after today. So now for my eyebrows, I'm going to go for ones that just kind of a little soft arch to them. Nothing too crazy. And then my mouth, I'm going to start with just a line. We'll go for kind of a soft smile. And then from here, I've got the center of my nose here. So I want my Cupid's bow, that pointy section right there in the middle to line up with that. So the face is all on one parallel. So you're using that curve there. And then the bottom lip, and then a little line for their chin. So from here, I've got this curve. This is a really good thing to follow for my hair, because your hair grows in kind of a curve around. You can pull your hair back, and depending on if you've got a bit of a Cupid's bow there or not. And then it curves down, and then you've got your area right next to your ear where you might, grow sideburns or something of that sort. And then your hair grows out from this line. It doesn't grow straight up or straight down. Your hair grows up and over. So let's say we give this person here kind of a middle part. Kind of curve right on over. Well, maybe we'll give them some bangs so it kind of flips out. And I'm not going to get super detailed here, so we're going to actually hop in with our fine liners to finish off the details. So I'm picking sections for hair. That's a really big thing. If you try and draw every little line in there, it's going to get exhausting. And you're going to lose the sense of flowiness. So just pick big sections to start. I'm going to kind of let it, we'll go for long hair so we can talk a little bit more about those sections. Kind of flowing over. And then for their neck, your neck grows right out from behind your ears, so it's that same thickness. And particularly if you watch a lot of, animated things, cartoons, a lot of times these things are exaggerated, and that's totally fine. It's just important to learn first how things work traditionally to make them look correct in a more exaggerated manner. So learning proper body proportions is a really important thing for people who still go in to do really exaggerated cartoons, because when you know the rules, it's a lot easier to break them well. So having those shoulders kind of come down and around. Look at yourself in the mirror for this stuff too. This is really helpful. A lot of human proportions are, fairly average, and you can use your own body as a cue to how it might look on someone else. Or you're stuck at home with your family, so ask, them to pose for you. Get them to strike something, an interesting pose that you've been wanting to try. Collarbones, depending on the person, how pronounced they are, they may be super pronounced like that. You may not really see them much at all. Just like a soft line there. So I'm going to have some of that hair flowing over the front. I think that looks pretty good so far. So I can hop into some of my liners here. I just grabbed some fun bright colors so they had something fun to work with. You can go, more traditional colors for this if you like. Colored pencils are great. But my liners are going to be what I use today. So what I am going to do for the hair is get super detailed a little bit more here at the roots, and then let that fade down. So like particularly in here where it's growing up and over, I'm going to really curve that line over and over. I'm creating a really dense base because that's where your hair's its thickest, is at the roots where it's first growing. It's still alive and healthy. And I'm just going to do some gentle lining around these edges. This is where you can use these to create some really cool little flyaways, make that hair feel a little more real. We'll give her pink eyebrows too, why not? I like to draw my eyebrows the same way I draw with my hair, in terms of drawing lots of little lines, because your eyebrows are just tiny little hairs, or you can just completely fill them in. It depends on what kind of look you want to go for. And then maybe in the back here I might add a little bit more of lines. Hair is a really good place to experiment stylistically. Don't have to do it exactly how I do it or how anyone else does it. Whatever you think looks the best. I'm going to do a little bit more of a bunched up here in the back. Maybe a little more right here as well. Grab my black here for my eyes. Just going to gently outline those. For my nose here, I'm going to outline that bridge. Same thing with my mouth. And ears, the insides particularly, tend to trick people up a little bit because they are so much going on. Once you've drawn a lot of them, this becomes a lot easier, but you are your own best model here because you can stare at your ears in the mirror for as long as you like and get a feel for them. But generally you have that kind of C curve, it comes in a little bit, comes back out, and then you've got a few different kind of ridges and things happening in there, with the darkest being right there in the center where everything goes to your inner ear. Sweet. And then eyelids. Everyone's eyelids are a little bit different, of course. And then eyelashes. Just like our hair, our eyelashes, let's see if I draw a quick little eye here. Our eyelashes don't grow straight out like this. It's a good kind of stylistic, cartoony choice if you like, but naturally our eyelashes grow up and out. Like that. It's a little check mark shape almost. So I'm going to allow that to go up and out. And that's going to move those eyes outwards, make them feel a little bit more 3D. So from there I can add, play around with layering colors in the hair, doing some black outlines, doing some with just the color. I'm gonna give her kind of just a simple t-shirt. All the details of like clothing, fabrics, and things come with practice. Like I've been saying, you are your own best model here. Look at your clothing. Look in the mirror how it flows and how it moves when you walk. And you'll get a better feel for how different fabrics work and move in real life. So now I've got my pins down. I'm going to go back and just erase all those guidelines. See how well I'm following them and how much more detail I could probably add. So now I've gotten rid of my pencils, I can see where I've got some like sparseness. I'm going to go in with a new pink. Create some fun new texture to her hair. Maybe we'll add lots of lines. The biggest thing here is just keeping the direction, because if I color straight down in her hair, it's going to totally throw off the movement of it. So I'm going to keep with the curved lines that are happening, keeping it flowing, keeping it moving. Even move her hair down a little bit even. For her lips, we can do like a full color, or, just some little highlights of color in there. Her eyes, let's go. Got lots of blues here, so we can play with that, adding a little bit of a highlight in there to bring a little bit more light to them. Our eyes are also not just one color. I can go in with my black again for a pupil. Maybe a small curve under the eye. And then some tiny little baby lashes. Again, still curving those. Give her some little earrings. You can get really detailed with all of this. You can grab some pencils or something to do like more detailed shadows, or you can go for some really bold shadows with just your black liner. So pick your lighting direction. Let's say our lighting's coming this way. Underneath her chin's gonna have a really nice strong shadow. Underneath her nose here, she's gonna have a strong shadow. Same thing on her chin, a little bit on the bottom of her lips, maybe a little bit of shadow happening under here. A little bit hiding under that ways, a little under her hair there. And then you can, start to try and get more real with it, or you could go a more decorative route. So if we're going to do some more like doodly type pages, you can also incorporate that into your figurative work. So let's just say we want to add like a big round shape behind her. Since we've been doing so much of her in pink, let's go with blue for this. So I'm going to kind of just follow the curvature of that roundness. Even do kind of a cross hatch with that. Cross hatching is a great form of shading to use when you're using pens, because obviously you can't blend and do all of that. But if you've got a direction of lines like this, and then you go over it with a different direction of lines, you've got some more built up area there. It's a little bit heavier, and you can keep highlighting that by going over it over and over, and the closer together your lines are, the darker it is. The more dispersed your lines are, the lighter it is. So you can use that the same way. So if I want this circle here to kind of go from dark to light, I can really hammer in my hatching on this side to get it really dark, and let it fade out into a lighter blue on that side. From there, I can start to just create some patterns. Think about swirls, dots, check marks, things of that sort. You can use hearts as a pattern even. Just letting whatever forms you want just kind of flow, doing their thing. Every time you feel like things are getting boring, switch up your pen. Do a new color. Think about what colors might go best together, but other than that, this is totally yours. Fill it with things you think are pretty, that make you happy. Think about quotes you could even incorporate, doing some fun lettering. Let's go real simple with it and just do like love. The lettering's a little shaky, I can go back over it. Creating different line weights or thicknesses and thinnesses of lines is also a really big thing with drawing to give good contrast and make things a little more interesting to look at. So if everything's the same thickness and thinness, it gets a little dull. So if I go back into my swirls here and create like a thicker base and let it fade into that thinness and then maybe get a little bit thicker here at the end, that swirl's a lot more interesting to look at than one that's just thin all the way through. But if you have both, you have some really interesting contrast to look at. So we'll do some filled in circles, some empty circles. Just fill that whole page with things that you want to look at. So for her shirt here, we'll just keep the theme of pink and blue going. I'm going to use that hatching on her shirt here by going one direction with my lines. And then even on her collar here, let's have a kind of like a squiggly line that follows that whole collar shape. And you can see how those lines are a lot thicker together. I'm using the same pen, but those feel a lot darker. So, again, if my light's coming this way, we're gonna have a bit more of a shadow on this side. So I'm gonna just add more lines more closely together on this side. Same in here on all my little wrinkles. Can switch up the direction of these lines to get an even heavier shadow. This is all kind of hiding underneath her hair here, so we'll give that a little bit of a shadow. All right. So go ahead and fill your sketchbook up with a bunch of different things. Think about your favorite characters, your favorite people, and just give that some practice.